Hi, my name is Cindy. I was looking online at the aftermath of Hurricane Ian in Florida. I had been following it for some time because I have relatives that live down there, and I was concerned about their safety, and I'm happy to say that they are safe. But in looking back over all of the devastation and the flooding that occurred, I came across this article that talks about what to do in case you encounter some undesirables in the floodwaters, like when you're getting rescued or you're trying to help get things cleaned up, and the waters are flooded. And so I remember that during the storm, my cousin had sent a picture of when he came out of the house is going to go and take the battery out of his truck to try to preserve it, and had not realized that the floodwaters had risen so high. And he lived on Key West Island, and first time that they could remember, they had water waist high on the streets. And I remember looking at that murky water in his picture, and I was thinking about all the critters that I know lives down in the south there that we don't have up here in the Northland. And so when I saw this article that said what to do, I'm reading it, and of course, you have your sea life, you have your alligators, you have snakes and pythons, but there was one I didn't know about, and that was about the fire ants. Now, I know what fire ants are firsthand, but I did not know that they could come together with their bodies and make a floating raft and survive the storm and the waters until they could get to a place of safety. And I'm like, what? That's really smart. My experience is I was bitten by a red ant, little tiny red ants, and not in Florida, and those hurt. But the fire ants, they will grab you with their pinchers, and then they bring their backside up and they sting you. So it's actually a sting, and it's a powerful one. And so every Christmas when I was a child, we used to go down to Key West, Florida. My auntie lived there with her boys, and it's just my favorite thing to do in the whole world is go to Florida. And so this year that we went for Christmas, she said we can't play in the backyard because they had a big stone wall there, and a colony of fire ants had made a nest there. And she just said, don't go back there. And so, of course, my oldest brother was the first one to always disobey, and we hadn't been outside very long when he went and climbed up on that wall and was just like hooting and hollering, this is me. And it quickly turned to screams of terror and just crying and screaming, and all the adults came running out of the house, and my aunt was going, I told you, I warned you. And they grabbed him and took him in the house, and luckily my aunt knew what to do because she'd lived down there for long, ever since she was born. And so, yeah, they can really sting. And I think it was my dad asked her, well, why didn't you just get rid of the nest? Why didn't you have pesticide people come? And she said, well, they're pests, but they are the best pest control ever because they keep out all the other undesirable critters in the backyard there. So I'm looking at that, and I'm just thinking how smart those ants are. And that's what Solomon said. He says in Proverbs chapter 6, he's talking about the ant. He said, consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. They're smart. In fact, he's calling other people sluggards and lazy bones, but not the ants. They're not ruled by the queen bee. The queen bee's job is just to lay the eggs. She doesn't lead them or tell them what to do. They follow her because without her they wouldn't have a colony. And so in the colony is workers that dig the tunnels, and they collect the food, and they store the food, and they watch the nymphs when they're born, and they have watchmen that watch for enemies. They have undertakers that when an ant gets a disease and dies, they literally will pick it up and carry it outside the colony to bury it. They bury their dead. The ants do. Now, it's pretty darn smart. And so Solomon says in chapter 30, there are 4 things which are little on the earth, but they are exceedingly wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their food in the summer. So they have the foresight to care for their colony before the nighttime comes, before the winter comes. And that reminds me that Jesus says, he takes it another step. In John chapter 9, verse 4, he said, I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work. And, I know Jesus was talking about his ministry. He was talking about his death on the cross. But I think he also meant it in the future. It's our generation, every generation. It's our lives. We must work the work of him who sent me. And the Bible tells us, look at the ants and consider her ways. The ants are exceedingly wise. If they can work together in unity and side by side help one another when they're sick and protect their babies, and when the storms come, they build a raft with their bodies to protect them, to float them above the high waters until they get to a place of safety. There's so much that we can learn in this creature that God created to help teach us, And so in our generation, we need to bond together like that. We need to be unified and help one another. And when things get hard and the floodwaters want to come over our heads, we should bind together in love, in prayer, on the phone, on a Zoom, in an email, meet with people, bond with people, be friends with people, and share the work of Jesus Christ, because the day is coming when it will be night and we can work no more. So keep working, no matter how old you are, how young you are. Keep working for Jesus. Be like the ant. Be exceedingly wise. My name is Cindi. I hope to see you again soon.